Hi Arrowhead Guys. Today on BBQ'n'A, Adam and I will tell you about the different kinds of smokers, what to look for when buying your first smoker, and what to avoid. So what we have here is a reverse flow offset smoker. This is what you typically think of when you think of a barbecue smoker. Obviously this is a larger model, handmade variety, but you can get these at Home Depot from the $150 range all the way up to $400 or so. The nice thing about these is they're big. You got plenty of room to get in and out of them. We'll show you a little sneak peek of what's going on inside this guy. And you get probably the best smoke flavor out of any type of smoker on it.
I would say major cons with traditional offset or reverse flow offset. They're big, they're heavy, they're kind of hard to move. They can be expensive if you're paying someone to build one, or you're even building one yourself. They're not terribly cheap. The cheaper ones that you can buy, say at Walmart, at Home Depot, or Lowe's, they're made of thin gauge steel and they don't really hold temperature that well.
The best things you can do to learn fire management is to start with an offset. We don't recommend the very cheap base thin sheet metal versions at Home Depot. However, there are a few heavier gauge options that start in the $350 to $500 price range that you can still get at your local box store. Oklahoma Joe's is one of those brands. They are a thicker material, better construction, and they do hold heat a lot better. Obviously, when somebody wants a smoker, this is what they're wanting to go out and get. If you're not sure how much time you're going to be spending using it, we recommend that you go with one of those mid-grade options because you won't fight it and it won't make you not want to barbecue anymore. So once you've decided you've outgrown your $200 Brinkman or your $400 Oklahoma Joe smoker that you bought at Home Depot, and you decide you want to go this route, go ahead and plan on spending about $1,500 if you want to build something like this and you have access to the tools and materials already. If you're looking to buy something about this size, you're probably looking to spend $2,500, $3,000 easily. And there's several manufacturers out there that make smokers like this. Just Google on the internet and also check Craigslist, because people buy and build these things, get almost done, and then they get out of it and decide to sell it. Sometimes you can find a deal.
You can check Craigslist, and sometimes you'll find these things half built and you can just finish them and you can get into them relatively cheap.
Kind of like that treadmill your wife just had to have and she's going to use every day. It's been sitting in the basement. Because let me tell you, if somebody's got a smoker and they're not using it, the wife is going to want it out of the house. Alright, so what we have here is a ceramic egg. This qualifies as what I could call a vertical or direct heat smoker. Basically, you have fire with your food directly over it. This unit right here actually happens to be Low Bird's. He loved this thing up here, so I'm going to let him tell you all about it.
Yeah, so this is actually mine. It's a Kamado Joe, and they get the name because it's a Kamado style cooker. They're ceramic. Most people are familiar with the Big Green Egg. It's a very popular brand. This is just an offshoot of that. So they have kind of a niche market. They're widely efficient. They are great smokers and grillers.
So tell us about some of the benefits of using a cooker this style.
But these things are made of ceramic, and so when they heat soak, wildly efficient. You can run 24 hours on a single load of charcoal with no problem.
And even with the sheet metal Weber versions, just because of the placement of the meat directly over the heat, you're burning less fuel because that heat is going directly to that meat.
This little guy his retails for about $500, so it's not really cost effective for most people. Again, I said it's kind of a niche item, but you can get the Weber. They have a Smoky Mountain, and they have a couple different sizes. I think they are roughly
I think 250. They have a smaller one out now, but like the 18 is about 300, and the 22 inches for something. So a little bit more affordable than ceramic eggs. For this style of smoker, you have a pretty wide price range. Another option you have are the ugly drum smokers, which if you haven't heard of it, it's basically a 55-gallon steel drum that they use Weber grates in and build a vertical smoker out of it. If you build one yourself, which we might get around to doing, it's actually a very, very cost-efficient option for having a smoker, and they're not very hard to do. And you can even go on Craigslist and find guys that build these things and sell them. There are professional grade ones you can buy. $900 for a 55-gallon drum, in my book. There's better ways to do that. So you're telling me there's like all these great reasons to have one of these, but one of the things we've learned as we've looked at different smokers is nothing comes without a drawback. What is this guy's limitations?
Like on my regular classic style, which is an 18-inch grill surface, you can cook a majority of things, but you do tend to run out of space, and you have to kind of get creative. You can't just throw 3 briskets on one like you can, say, an offset or maybe a cabinet smoker. You are somewhat limited in space.
And while the Weber Smoky Mountains and the ugly drum smokers typically have 2 racks, it does give you more space. However, to do anything on the bottom rack, you're opening up your smoker and you're pulling a hot rack full of meat off and setting it aside to reach down there and get that other thing on the other rack. This category covers a broad spectrum of different types of smokers you can get into. There's some very cheap options available at your local box store. The Webers are a sealed unit. I'm not going to put any brands down, but there are some brands out there that there's literally no closing on the bottom. It's just wide open air, and those things, you cannot bring the temperature down.
And they'll get out of control very quickly.
So here we have a pellet style smoker. This one's actually a Traeger.
Obviously, the major selling point of these smokers, and what you'll hear everyone who owns one say, is that they are set it and forget it. You plug it in, you set the temperature you want to cook to, and you hit the go button, and that's it. It can cook for 4 hours, you can cook for 20 hours, and you never have to worry about fire management coming out and checking on your temperatures.
With these style of grills, you can obviously smoke, which is great, but also you can grill and bake.
Of course, everything has its drawbacks. The one complaint you do get about pellet smokers is that they don't have a really heavy smoke taste, which some people prefer. The other drawback is that all your friends with real smokers will probably make fun of you for owning one.
No one would do that.
No, I would never make fun of anyone.
Another thing with the pellets, if you do extended cooks, if you're going to smoke something like a big cut of meat for a long time, it can actually get kind of pricey. You're looking at anywhere from $20 to $40 worth of pellets just for one cut of meat. So that kind of has to factor into what you want in a barbecue grill.
Speaking of price, these aren't too bad to get into. What are we looking at for one of these models?
I think most of them you can get at the box stores. They start at probably around $350 and go up to about $800. It just depends on brand. The major brands you're going to look for are probably Traeger, like this one, Camp Chef, Rectech, CMG, Yoder. There's other ones out there. Just search the internet.
They call it cabinet smoker. There's a couple different styles. They're generally double-walled and insulated, and there's 2 different types of fuel management. You have what they call a gravity feed, which is what this is, and then you also have a direct heat, which has a basket in the bottom that you fill up with your fuel. You slide it in, you shut the door, and the heat comes from the bottom. On the gravity feed, it has a chute in the back that you fill with charcoal that rests on a metal grate. And you light the fire from the bottom of that grate, and since the chute is sealed, there's no oxygen, so that fire actually can't go up and ignite all the charcoal, so it stays in a very confined zone. And as that charcoal burns, the ashes fall through the grate, and the charcoal just literally feeds itself, hence the name gravity feed.
What's a plus to having this thing?
One of the nice things about this is that it's very stable. It's just got a 2-inch ball valve on the back that's your air inlet. And once you figure out where that thing needs to be set, as long as the temperature outside is fairly stable, it's going to hold your temperature without any adjustments. The other really nice thing is, for as large as it is, it's very efficient. This uses about the same amount of fuel as an 18-inch Weber does.
Oh wow, that's good.
So about a pound of charcoal an hour is what you figure on.
This thing's obviously large. Can you show us the inside, I guess?
Yeah, sure. Let me just smack you with that door.
That's fine.
Obviously, the other added benefit of this is it has several racks that slide in and out. The racks are all large. So you could put 30 pork butts in here. There's plenty of room in here to do large cooks.
So would you say this is for like maybe competition or?
Yes. So this is something that the average person is probably not going to need. It's suited for competitions, catering, owning a restaurant. There are some smaller versions that start out around $800 that are kind of like a tabletop unit that have 3 racks in them that are about the size of a half pan, which is a pretty good size for doing home cooks. But you still have to know that you're talking a pretty decent investment for a small cooker. But it has all the added value of the stability and efficiency.
Sure.
However, for the vast majority of these, if you're going to buy one of these new, something this size, you're talking $3,000, $3,500.
So that's not cheap.
No, it's not cheap. And unless this is a business to you or you're doing it for competitions a lot, you're probably not going to want to spend that much money. You can find these on Craigslist used. That's what I did for a fraction of that cost. The other issue is availability. You're not going to go to Walmart and buy one of these or one of your local box stores.
How would you find one?
You have several manufacturers that make these. Humphreys, Backwoods, Sassons. But again, you're talking about a very heavy item. This thing probably weighs 600-800 pounds. And you got to pay to have that thing shipped to your house. So yeah, you can find one used. That's one solution. There's a couple stores around town that are barbecue only stores that sell some cabinet smokers. If you're going to buy one of these with the idea of doing competitions, guess what else you get to buy?
What's up?
A trailer. They're inconvenient. They're hard to move. It is a sacrifice that you just have to deal with. And this is how we do it, folks. All right, so we just covered the major types of smokers. There's other categories that kind of fall in between. We didn't cover everything. There's a couple types that we just couldn't sell to you.
So yeah, there's a couple cabinet usually style cookers that run on electricity and or propane only. How do we feel about these kinds of cookers?
Well, you see it in the video, right? No. First off, they're not allowed in competition. You might buy a smoker and say, I want to go try a competition. I think I'm getting good. I want to see how I'm doing. And you're going to have a smoker you can't take with you because they either run on propane or electric heating element. Unlike the pellets that actually burn the pellets, and that's the heat source. So that's one reason. We don't want you buying something that, if you ever do decide to get into competitions, that you just can't use.
What's the main reason we don't want it?
Because they suck.
They do suck.
They suck.
The product is bad, okay? It's just bad.
And we've all been there. You know, you want to get that first smoker, and you're at the box store, and you're looking at all the smokers, and man, you're looking at that thing, and it looks so easy to use, and it's like $80.
It's on sale.
Yeah, it's on sale, man.
There's a reason.
That thing's cheap. I can buy that. But you're just going to fight it. Save yourself the trouble and stay away from those.
Save yourself some money.
Yeah, there's a couple options out there for another $75 that you're going to be much happier with.
Yep, agreed.
Now, if you're not sure if you want to go out and buy a smoker yet, but you have a Weber grill, you can actually use those to smoke with.
Absolutely.
All you got to do is move your charcoal over to one side of the grill, and you don't even need very much, 2 pounds to start with. And if you got one of the Webers with the flip-up grills, put it under that side and flip that thing open, and you can drop some wood chunks in there as you're going, and set a rack of ribs on the other side of the grill, or whatever you want to smoke.
Right.
It's a really good way to try out doing some barbecue without having to spend any money on a smoker. It works really well.
It works. The product, you will be impressed. It will be far better than anything you will get from those less than stellar boxes.
Yeah. And believe it or not, you don't have to just fill a Weber with 20 pounds of charcoal and run it at 800 degrees the entire time. You can actually do a really good job controlling your temperatures if you close down the damper on the bottom. Just use a very small pile of charcoal off to the side with a couple chunks of wood.
Yep.
So, Arrowhead Guys, it's been a pleasure. We hope you learned something, and we hope that you get into barbecue. But stay with us this year. We're going to be talking about a lot of great things, and we can't wait to hear your stories of the first time you smoked something. we know that $50 brisket is intimidating, but you really want to cook it, we're going to get you there.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
We might even do a couple how-tos.
Yeah, we might tell you how to do that. We'll tell you everything you need to know. Anyways, until then, Arrowhead guys, cheers to you,
Cheers.
and we'll see you around the interwebs. But you're going to need something to cook on, so I hope that so gets cut out. I hate sows.
There's a lot of sows.
Yeah, a lot of sows.
Sow some seeds. Don't
Yeah, I got 3 kids. I've sowed enough seeds.
That stays. That stays in.
Yeah, that stays. All right.